And a good Friday afternoon, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz. We are giving you an update at 3 o'clock on 10 TV Plus, and thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we've got our full broadcast at 4, 5, and 6, and during that and shortly after that, I think some of these storms will begin to activate and head our way. Let's start with a broad brush approach and a friendly reminder first. One is that we're on 10 TV Plus, also on Facebook and on YouTube, and there's two ways for us to have, for you to have communication with me. One is through the Facebook comments. Do not send a direct message. That takes too much digging. We probably won't get to that. Just a comment in the 10 TV Facebook page on this live stream, and I'll get to many as I can. The other way is that phone number at the bottom, 614-460-3345. That will send a text message right to the computer right in front of me. And again, those two ways allow you to communicate and ask questions. Example, what time will the storms arrive? When will the storms be worst? What kind are we expecting tornadoes? Just some ideas. And I'll answer some of those questions. So if you can stay tuned and kind of listen along, we're going to give you an overview, break things down a little bit, and we're going to go on for 10 or 15 minutes. And then we've got to get ready for that 4 o'clock news. So just to kind of give you a heads up of what the plan is for the short term. Now, looking at the big picture for us, we've been talking about this weather impact alert day because of that threat for severe weather. It looks like the breakdown is still the same in terms of geography. In terms of a scale of 1 to 5, much of Ohio is under a 2 to a 3. Central and southern parts of the viewing area, all the way down to the Ohio River, is under that 3. That's numerous. And then closer to Cincinnati, they're at a 4. Basically, this is one of the things we've talked about, and you'll hear me say quite a bit. What's the trend? Which way are things moving? Generally speaking, the trend has been always to focus the worst weather, or the greatest threat, I should say, on the central and southern parts of the viewing area. In terms of the dangers or the threats from these particular storms, a tornado is medium, flooding is medium, especially if we see heavy rain this evening and early tonight over areas that are already saturated from rain earlier this week. Wind is high. That's the main concern, as these storms will be more of a line, and that will oftentimes cause gusty winds in pockets. And then a hail is also elevated in terms of concern. So of the 4 things that are possible with thunderstorms, hail and wind are the top 2. Now, radar scan right now, not bad. A couple of showers tried to get going early today. They were kind of few and far between and pushed off toward the east. The one thing that is critical to our forecast and is going to change very quickly in the next 1 or 2 hours is the sun. Earlier, these showers and storms to our south kind of overspread much of central Ohio, all the way up to Mansfield, really, with clouds. That is acting to kind of keep temperatures in check. But look what's waiting right behind these clouds. No clouds. That means the sunshine will be back. Those clear skies, along with the ingredients that are in place, will add and kind of prime that pump for those thunderstorms later on. Clearly, there's nothing happening between Indianapolis, Cincinnati, all the way back down toward Louisville, Paducah, and St. Louis. What we're watching is for rapid development of thunderstorms in this area where nothing's happening right now, and then they will race to the east. That's why you've got plenty of time. It's only 3 o'clock. We're expecting the earliest storms, as you'll see in a moment, to begin to work into Ohio around sunset. That's 8 to 9 o'clock. So you've got your evening fine. Keep tuned, of course, stay tuned as the situation evolves. But those are the key timelines. 8 p.m. to midnight from west to east. The impact will be for those potentially strong storms. You need to be ready, be weather aware, and like you are right now, be connected. 10 TV Plus. 10 TV mobile app, great ways. Of course, your mobile app should already be enabled to receive severe weather emergency alerts. And a National Weather Service radio is the #1 way. You can kind of stick one of those in your pocket, 15 or 20 bucks at a big box store or online. It is a great resource to have in all seasons, but especially during severe weather season. A couple of things we're watching too. You have noticed, and you will notice, the humidity increasing, especially when that sun comes out and things get mixed up a little bit. This is the dew point. We'll talk about this occasionally, especially as we get toward the meat of the summer, June, July, August. But what we're watching now through about 6 o'clock till about midnight is these dew points actually increasing. That simply means that the low-level moisture is there and we'll have some fuel for the storms. Watch at 11 o'clock tonight. That dew point changes pretty quickly. In fact, it crashes. That simply means that the fuel source will be moving quickly out as those storms move quickly in. The other thing we're watching is just how much energy is out there. You'll notice at 6 o'clock this evening, 3 hours from now, we begin to see the energy increase and where the darker orange is in the western parts of the viewing area. Where we've got more clouds now and for the next hour or so to the east, that energy is limited. But watch as we get a couple of hours of sunshine, that orange giving way to a deeper red. That simply means that the storm energy is going to be available. We're going to have storms coming in from the west. That'll be the lift or the kick to get additional storms started, and we're going to have plenty of moisture. Again, that's just what we're watching between 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock, and like the dew point, like the moisture, watch how fast this storm energy just gets wiped out from west to east as those storms move through. This is between 9 o'clock and midnight tonight, and I do think once we clear midnight tonight, we'll be breathing a sigh of relief as those storms, so we'll move it to the east and that threat will be over. Now, this is an hour-by-hour model, which is being updated every hour. So when you join us at 4 o'clock, in an hour or less, we're going to have an update to this model. But what it's showing, 8 o'clock, no showers or storms in central Ohio. As we get through about 9 o'clock, notice a couple of things. This line of thunderstorms will quickly move in. Bellefontaine, Urbana-Springfield, just east of I-75. That's 9 p.m. That is just around sunset. So adding an additional layer of concern is that these storms will be moving in at dark, after dark. So just keep that in mind as you make your way through the evening. Just really want to make sure that you have these multiple ways to get the weather information, because by 10 o'clock, this southern edge of this line really begins to blow up. Columbus, Circleville, Chillicothe, Piketon, right down Route 23. North of Delaware, maybe a shower. North of that, you should be fine. Unlike yesterday when you had kind of a flip with a couple of showers and storms, and earlier this week, we've been seeing some of that too. 10 to 11 o'clock, that line races to the east. Newark, Coshocton blasts through Lancaster and Fairfield County, setting up around New Lexington, McConnellsville, Athens. That's 11 p.m. By the time midnight rolls around, again, as you saw from those other variables, these storms will be moving out. So that is the current timeline of these storms, the current geography of these storms. Now what are we looking at in terms of the impacts? We mentioned that. We'll talk about it again. The strongest, the most likely thing that we're worried about from these storms is the high wind. And part of it is really twofold. One, storms are going to be moving fast, and this wind threat will be covering a much larger area. Not to be dismissive of a tornado threat because it is medium, but a tornado, generally speaking, is on average 50, 100, 200 yards wide. Think of a football field. Yeah, not insignificant, but we're talking about a wind storm or a wind event. We're talking many, many miles across that can be affected by winds 60, 70 miles an hour plus. So keep that in mind. On top of that, we'll have rain, wind, and lightning, and we'll also see the possibility of some inch or greater hail. That's bigger than a quarter, and that's, again, an opportunity. You got several hours. If you've got a car outside, maybe you got something done, the umbrella's up, kind of take those things in after you use them this evening. If you have a chance to pull that car in the garage, that would be a very good idea. So again, that's what we're looking at over the next couple of hours. We're going to drop back over here and see what the phone lines have for us, the text messages and our Facebook messages. Let's see what we've got here. So I'm going to go back to our text line, kind of freshen that up a little bit and see if we've got anybody on board this afternoon and this evening. There we go. Thank you, Kyle. Now this one was from last night, talking about the SPC website. That's where you see those different colors of the threat level. Go back to that for just a second since that was referenced in one of the questions. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. We're on to Facebook. See if we've got some questions or comments here. I'm not seeing anything. Let's see, let's go back to that. All right, give me a second here, please. Just bear with me. All right, Bob. Who else is getting ready for the storms tonight? I think that list would be pretty long. Enid for Reynoldsburg. Thank you, Enid. And Sandy. So I'm going to answer. Sandy asked about Columbus. Enid asked about Reynoldsburg. And then Heath. So those are three things. We kind of work those in line. Columbus, Reynoldsburg, and Heath, kind of west to east. So let's go back to the map here for a second. I might want to take that full screen. If you could, Kyle, that'd be great just to kind of drive home the point. So we're looking dry by 7:30. Here's the storms moving in, weakening a little bit across the north. That's good. Columbus, Franklin County, both north and south, that's 10 o'clock. So Reynoldsburg would be approximately 10:30 to 11 o'clock. Heath, Newark, Lancaster, that would be 10:30 to 11 o'clock. And then New Lexington, Logan, MacArthur, 11 to 11:30. And then 11:30 to midnight as we get through Athens and Morgan County, and then over toward Guernsey County and Cambridge. And that storm system generally should weaken, but I'll believe that when I see it. What we're really looking for is to help you provide a timeline to when these storms are likely to hit, what the threats they will bring, and the geography, where they are most likely to occur. So we're going to leave that parked there at 10 o'clock. Let's check out, all right, Washington Courthouse. Samantha, thank you so much. What about Washington Courthouse? Our friends down there in Fayette County who have had a pretty rough go of things so far this spring. Multiple tornadoes so far. I'm not saying that's the case this evening. Again, the winds are the greatest threat. Here you go, Samantha. This is 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock. So I'd say between 9 and 10:30 is the roughest time for Fayette County and Washington Courthouse from west to east. Pamela, it's windy over here on the east side. It sure is, Pamela. And wait till that sun comes out, because that is going to be what was going to actually increase the winds a bit more, because once we get that atmosphere to be mixed up, we'll see those dew points increasing, and then we're going to watch those winds pick up as well. So that's what we're looking here from Pamela, weather report from the east side. Let's go to our text line here. Gehenna, didn't see a name on there, so we'll just say 10 TV viewer from Gehenna. This is the map that we're looking at, the latest model information. Gehenna between 10, 10:30, and let's say 10 to 10:30. This is not down to the minute. We're still painting a little bit with a broad brush with our times, like 15 to 30-minute increments. So Gehenna, let's say eastern parts of Franklin County, around the airport between 9:30 and 10:30 would be your window for those locations. Thank you. Morrow County, great question. Our friends in Morrow County, boy, you might just get away lucky this evening, which is fine. Don't want to wish any of this on anybody, but Morrow County, Marion County, Knox County, just getting clipped by some showers with this latest model. Mount Vernon, then it does kind of extend northward, clipping Coshocton County, but weakening as it does. That's between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock tonight. So that hopefully answers a couple of those questions. Can we expect anything bad in Marysville? Answer your question right now. 9:30, the storms begin to move in, kind of a line between 9 and 9:30 to Union County and Madison County and Fayette County. Perhaps even up toward Hardin County too, just clipping that. So that looks to be the earlier part of the evening. After sunset, still to be clear, but also around Marysville would be the worst of it between 9 and 10 p.m. Not exactly sure to say how bad it will be in Marysville. I do think with a pretty high confidence that the further south you go from Marysville, from Delaware, from areas around Knox County southward, the further south you go, the greatest threat, the larger the threat is for some of those disruptive storms. So the further north you go, the least likely or lower likelihood of seeing some of those boomers. Likely chance of a tornado in Franklin County. Cannot answer that question directly. Thank you, Jerry, for writing in tornadoes within the Columbus viewing area. So if we're putting a percentage on these, I looked at this earlier. Let me see if this graphic has been updated. Working in real time here and answering some questions. We're going to stay on the air for just a few more minutes because we've got to get ready for our 4 o'clock newscast. But I do appreciate the back and forth with our folks and friends from all over the 10 TV viewing area. Chance of a tornado. I'm going to give you 2 answers. One is a numerical answer. And the percentage of a tornado as per our friends at the Storm Prediction Center, between 5 and 9%. Not 0, but not any higher than the single digits. And that's important because they have grades, or levels I should say, 2 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, and then 15 to 30, and then it ramps up very quickly as their confidence increases. So let's just say it's not a 0 chance, but it's not very high. For a couple of reasons. And the other answer to your question, if you go back to the map, well, you can see the map behind me right here. As we go to about 10 o'clock, that this is on the northern end of this line of storms. And that doesn't preclude tornadoes from forming anywhere along this line. But generally speaking, you begin to see a little bit where there's some notches or some wiggles in these storms. Sometimes these little notches will be in a location where there's a more likelihood of a tornado occurring as the storm structure begins to change and evolve. Northern ends of these lines of storms, again, not producing a more likely scenario for a tornado. I kind of tap danced around that good enough for you. Small chance, not 0, not likely, but nevertheless, we talked about a couple moments ago, the main threats from these storms will be damaging winds. The following 2 categories, hail and tornado, are tied for number 2, and then flooding rain would be number 3. I might even lower the chance for flooding rain because the storm seems to be transient and moving along, but areas early this week, you know who you are, Perry County over near Athens, also parts of Licking County and Fairfield County, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain in a very short period of time. So that ground still is saturated. So that don't need any more rain. And unfortunately, it looks like more is coming your way. So check out our phone lines and answer a couple questions Tyler in Newark. Yes, it looks like it is going to be worse for areas south. I just scrubbed this timeline over to capture our friends in Licking County. That would be about, I'm going to say 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, that window, but that's just allow a little bit of flexibility, be safe, allowing for a little earlier and maybe a little bit longer. Northwest Columbus, thank you very much. Expecting everybody to see gusty winds. Whether or not it reaches damaging wind level, 70 miles an hour plus, remains to be seen. Those areas will probably be a little smaller in scale, but anybody that gets these thunderstorms, which is pretty much everybody from Delaware south, along and south of I-70, you have a very good chance of seeing some 50, 60 mile an hour gusts from these particular storms. Go back to the Facebook page for a second here, then we'll wrap it up. Yeah, Betty, she's got some storm anxiety. Just, I don't know the exact resolution for that to know what's coming and try and prepare the best you can. Have some battery, flashlight, make sure your phone is charged. A couple of simple things to kind of give you some, just a little bit of a sense of security. And the storm should come and go within about an hour, maybe an hour and a half's time. It's not going to be an all-night event, so there might be a little bit of a silver lining there. Yeah, a lot of folks chime in. What about Ross County? I'm going to answer two more questions. Austin and Powell and Vanessa in Ross. All right, final check here, then we're going to wrap this session up. Austin and Powell, that is just south of the E in Delaware. That would be between about 9:30 and 10. That would be the best chance there. It looks like, again, the northern edge of that seems to be a little bit weaker than the southern edge. Unfortunately, Ross County, Pickaway, Ross, and Pike County, 9:30, right in the heart of it, in the heat of the storms at 10 o'clock, then moving through by about 10:30. So about an hour's time, right down 23. So I appreciate everybody joining us this afternoon. We are going to be back. I'm going to watch the threads coming in, some of those questions. I'm going to multitask, getting ready for the 4 o'clock news. And answer some of those questions if I can. We're more than likely going to be back at some point this evening. We will let you know and give you a heads up after 6:30 p.m. for an update, and we very well could be breaking into coverage on 10 TV and 10 TV Plus if those storms get significantly severe or if there are tornadoes. So thanks again for joining us on 10 TV Plus this afternoon. We'll see you at 4 o'clock on 10 TV.